What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great day out there today. Guys, we're adding more power to the Kraton XL. That's right. We got the Hobby Wing Max 6 combo with the 1650 motor. Love this combo in the old Italian hoagie. It's been a blast. So we are going to give the new Kraton XL a proper power system and get this thing installed. Also got a couple more goodies for it from M2C Racing. We got the center braces. You guys see during the build, I only had the plastic stock one, so we got some good center braces for it now. And I also got the proper mounting plate for this thing. Got the Arma 6S ESC mounting plate for all the 6S lines, so I can get this ESC mounted up on there properly so it doesn't go anywhere. Could do the double-sided tape or Velcro and stuff, but this is definitely the right way to do it. So we're going to go ahead and do a little video getting this thing installed. I'm not going to bore you guys with all those bits and pieces, but I'll bring you guys along for little different segments as we go and get this thing hooked up, installed, and running. Because home actually here for the next 5 days, and hopefully going to take this thing out finally and give it a good rip and have some fun with this thing finally. So we're going to go and get this stuff installed, guys, so stay tuned, everybody. All right, well, first things first, we got to get the old power system out of here. So the original stock motor and ESC that came with the Kraton. This was the Kraton 6S originally, V4, not the EX. Wait, no, I'm sorry. This was the EXP originally, I believe. Yeah, I'm sorry. Misspoke, guys. I get confused between these two. But anyway, got a whole bunch of goodies on this thing because obviously we turned this thing in the Kraton XL. We've got the 3D RC bumpers, supports, and wings on here. They're nice and flexible. So looking forward to take this thing out. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get the old electronics ripped out, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Well, we got the ESC out easy enough. Getting the motor out, and I figured real quick I'd show you guys what I'm doing to all my cars now, and I know a lot of guys already do this, but I recently was talking with Rich and Eric and guys, and anyway, I ordered some new bolts, and I'm changing out all these junky motor mount screws that Armor provides. These things strip out super easy, and I ordered up a whole bunch of these. These are from monsterbolts.com. I've got them on eBay. But they are the socket head. They are 3mm socket head. They're 18 millimeters long. It's M4 by 18 millimeter. And these are what they look like. And anyway, just putting a washer on the head of each one of them and replacing all these out. I already did them to the Typhon now and the Italian. And I think, and the Mojave I did earlier today. But I'm getting rid of all of these because these things always strip out. The steel that these are made out of is pretty soft. So anyway, just figured I'd add that and show you guys what the bolt sizes are if you're interested in doing this to yours and getting rid of these pieces of junk. Because it's nice because now you can use the good old 3mm instead of, the 2, and it gives you a little more oomph to something to grab a hold of. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the motor out here. We'll get the plate changed over to the new motor. Get this thing in there. All right, everyone. Well, I just figured I'd bring you guys back real quick. We got gear off, motor out of there, and I'm just taking off the motor plate screws here. Make sure whenever you put these back into a new motor, you always put Loctite on these, especially because you do not want these coming back out and your motor plate flopping around. Start tearing up gears and everything else. So, well, at least I got a whole nother, motor and ESC, and I realized this was the BLX. The original motor in this thing actually went bad, and I got this BLX motor from something else, or something Horizon sent me, but anyway, I got a spare 6S ESC and motor. Maybe we'll put it in something, or keep it around as a spare. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get all the parts changed over the new motor, and start getting this thing together, guys. Man, just look at that awesome beefiness. There's the stock motor. There's the new one. Quite a bit of size difference. Man, they run and got so much power and just a great overall. Been really happy with all the Hobby Wing stuff. Everything's been putting up with a lot of beating and the hard landings, like on the Italian hoagie with that thing taking 40-foot drops onto concrete. I mean, the motor and ESC seem to be pretty stout. The fans do break rather easy, but that's pretty much with any fan. But really happy with their stuff overall. And everyone, I know I'm stating the obvious here for most people, but whenever you're doing Loctite, do not forget, you gotta let it dry. You can't throw Loctite on there and go out and rip it and expect for your motor plate or your pinion to stay on there. You gotta let it set for at least 24 hours is a good rule of thumb. Let that stuff set up, and then your pinions and stuff won't be flying off. So Make sure it's clean, and make sure you let it dry overnight. All right, guys, well, the motor fit up there. I'm obviously changing the gearing. I went from a 14 or 15 tooth to an 18 tooth on the pinion with the stock spur, and just gonna get the plate mounted up to the ESC here, and it just, everything lines up beautifully, of course. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the ESC mounted up to the plate, and then we can start getting this thing hooked up, and then we'll start changing out the center braces after I kind of get all this wired up and ready to roll. All right, we got the motor and ESC mounted up on the plate. Everything fits up in there, lines up beautifully. I don't know where I'm going to put my on-off button yet. I have to figure out a place to locate that. Sometimes I usually mount them on the side. I'll have to see what kind of room, or once I get the side skirt on here, where the best place to mount this will be. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the ESC wired over there, and looks like all my leads will just fit perfectly, just the same way they did on the Italian. Fits up real nicely, and this plate brings it nice and close to the pinion so that you can use your stock motor wires without having to extend them, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead, get the rest of the wiring kind of plugged in, buttoned up, and I'll bring you guys back probably once I get a solder connector on here too. But I did actually order a whole big bundle of these. So I got some extra EC5s or IC5s, whichever one those are. Same thing. These ones have obviously the smart plug in them for those rather not so great smart batteries. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm not really a big fan of them. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing wired up, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. All right, everyone. Well, it's all bolted up, hooked into the receiver. I'm gonna go ahead now and solder on the new IC5 connector and get this thing up and running. Word to the wise, don't forget to put your sleeve or your collar on before you solder the connector, or you'll be a little unhappy. But everything fit up beautifully. Wires, links are perfect. Looks great in there. Cannot wait to run this thing, guys. I am just so excited to take this thing out for its first rip with a new power system and everything set up in this thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get this thing soldered up and get this thing buttoned up. And real quickly, this is what I use to solder. I use a Weller WS51. It's an older iron, but thing works great. All I ever usually do is throw the connector, in a vise or something to hold onto that thing nice and tight. And guys, one of the big things you always want to make sure with soldering that'll make your life a lot easier is keeping the tip of your iron clean. I have one of these tip cleaners. You just jam it in there a bunch of times, and it takes all the old residue and oxidation off of it so that the solder actually properly sticks to the tip of the iron. So doesn't seem like an important part, but making your life easier soldering and making sure the solder flows properly, you got to keep the tip clean on these things. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing soldered up, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm putting the connector on. Alrighty, guys. Well, I got the connector tinned and went ahead and got the wires are already tinned. I put a little bit extra solder on the wires just to get them nice and make sure there's enough solder in those things. And now I'm just going to go ahead and heat up the wire until it basically soaks right into that connector. That way the two are bonded right there. And that is hot. Woo! Might want to wear gloves or pretty pair of pliers. But that's all there is to it. She bonded up on there real nice. She's ready to go. So repeat the process on if you're doing, a multi-pack connector with a loop through or whatever. But, soldering's not that scary, guys. It's easy enough to do. You just got to be patient and make sure your tip is clean. All right, just like that, it's all together. All the connections are nice. They ain't got all that blobbing. And believe it or not, the bigger the blob, the better the job is not true. And then once you get that seat up on there, you just snap your cover back on. There we go. And there we go. She's ready to roll, guys. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get a battery in this thing and then get the endpoints and everything set up, with the receiver and get this thing turned on and ready to roll. Alrighty, well, she is all back together again. We got just the 4S LiPo hooked up to it for now. I think I'm going to mount the switch down here with some double-sided tape. There is this little spot. I wish Hobbywing would supply some sort of little bracket thing that, is part of this mold or an option you could buy. I don't know if there's something out there or somebody makes something. Maybe somebody has a 3D printer and wants to make something. It'd be nice to be able to actually screw this down, onto there or somewhere would be nice. But anyway, not a big deal. We're going to double side tape it down there on the very bottom of the side skirt. But anyway, we got the DX5 linked up to this receiver, and I did go ahead and set my endpoints already, my throttle. Very easy to do. Real quickly, if you guys are curious, I'll show you on the Hobby Wing. So you turn it off, you hold your set button, turn the power on. You'll see this red light starts blinking. Now, right now, that's your neutral position. So you go ahead, I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. Now that my neutral is sitting neutral on my transmitter, you go ahead and hit the set button, and then next you hold your throttle the whole way down, hit it again, all the way reverse, hit the set button again. You can see it just went through multiple flashing green lights, and she is all programmed up. And we got forward, and we got reverse. She's ready to roll, guys. I'm super excited to take this thing out. Can't wait to run this thing. Like I said, I'm going to be running this thing. I also have the Hobby Wing program. I am going to hook up to this thing for a moment and get my settings set, my BEC, and probably my punch settings and all that stuff, and get, you know, kind of set where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing hooked up to it, make a few little changes, and she's ready to roll. The Kraton XL should be a beast. I think this thing is going to be a blast. Real lot of fun. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and we'll finish this video up. Alrighty, well, we got the programmer up set up to it. Very easy. Plug it in. You unplug your fan port up on the top there. Plug the card into there, and it shows you your item, and it tells you down here in the little table, you know, the different item numbers and what you are setting. So you got the running mode, whether you would do forward and just brake or forward and reverse. LiPo cells, low voltage cutoffs, all that stuff. ESC thermal protection. But what I'm looking for, the motor rotation is right. The BEC voltage, which is number 7. So we're going to scroll to number 7. And that is set to 1, which is 6.8 volts. So we're going to go ahead and change the value on that to 2. Turn the BEC voltage up so the steering works a little faster and a little better. And then we are going to go to, and then you can hit OK. It'll program that. Once you hit OK, that basically sends the information to the ESC. The next thing we're going to go to, max brake strength is 8, and that is on 4, which is 50%, which is fine. And the next thing, start mode, punch, which is number 10, is set to 3 right now. And that is 75%. I'm sorry. That is level 3, and there is 5 levels on this. So we're going to turn that up to number 4 and go with that. Drag brake, set to 1, that's fine. Go ahead and hit OK. Once you get that little dash, it's programmed. Go ahead, turn it off, unplug the programmer, and you're ready to roll. Plug your fan back in, don't forget that. But I'm going to go ahead and get this thing buttoned up, and maybe we'll throw it down on the floor for a second and see what she feels like. All right, all the bits and pieces are finally in. Got the new M2C rear and front center braces in there. And one of the things I've said this before, guys, I love is that besides the screw that screws into the center brace, there's also a nylon washer nut down there to make sure that this thing doesn't come loose, fall out, and start causing you problems. Because the minute you lose these center braces, you get too much flex going on and you start breaking and having lots of issues. So I think she's ready to roll. We got the battery hooked up to it. Everything's finally done. Everything's mounted in place. We got the switch mounted down here. Go ahead and fire this thing up. Now we got everything set. I think I gotta tighten up my servo saver. That's for sure. It's like it seems like it's moving well. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. All right, I'm gonna put this on the floor and I'll bring you guys back. Alrighty, well, she's on the ground. She definitely got some pep to her. I cannot wait. Woo, yeah. It's so much more spunky than just immediate throttle response on this thing is just... Yeah, I think she's going to be a ripper, guys. With the gearing up on this thing, it is going to... I think it's going to fly. But there's only going to be one way to find out. Right? And that's going to take this thing out. So, definitely going to take this thing out here this weekend while I am home. And have some fun with this. We're going to take the X-Max out with us and some other cars and have a good time, guys. Appreciate you guys sticking along for the shop video here and getting the new Kraton XL finished up completely with the new motor setup the rest of the M2C parts, and this thing should be a beast and a ton of fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, so until next time, y'all, be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.